Hello and welcome to another segment of Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. Friends, in this segment we bring those guests who influence our lives. This includes elected officials, policymakers, heads of major organizations and other dignitaries. It is my sincere hope that the knowledge brought in by this guest will help our community. Today we have such guest. His name is Haber. Mr. Haber is a successful businessman and now he is running for a county executive for Nassau County. He has to go through primary first in September, and then if he wins, then he will go through in November. Let's meet Mr. Haber. Sir, welcome to the show, sir. Thank you very much for appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
First I want to congratulate you for throwing your hat to serve people of Nassau County.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Hopefully you'll congratulate me more in November when I win.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
You know. So let's talk about who you are and where you come from and why do you want to do this?
Well, I'm a Long Islander for 20 years, since 1993. Okay. Grew up in Spring Valley, New York. Went to public school, went to public university and worked very hard. I made my way down to Long Island and made a life here. I love it here. This place has got everything. It's got great beaches. It's got great proximity to the city. The school systems are phenomenal. That's why I came down here. And the question is, who am I? I'm a guy who's very involved in the community. Okay. I'm involved in the Roslyn School Board. I got involved because, unfortunately, our superintendent stole a few $million, $11.2 million to be exact. Wow. About 7-8 years ago. And I'm a businessman with a very strong background in finance and real estate and restaurants and venture capital, startup companies. And I wanted to bring the business aspect to the school boards, and I was able to help my community where we're at the point now where we haven't fired any teachers, we haven't cut any services, and we're actually helping out by adding services for the needy. The special education children are doing very well. This is a place that's thriving compared to a lot of the other districts in Long Island that are cutting back, and some of the problems we're having all over Nassau. I was really engaged in the community and helping that. Who am I is also very involved in a charity called All Hands Volunteers. Okay. After Superstorm Sandy, I'm a board advisor to this charity, and I've been to Haiti with them, building schools. I've been to Mississippi, rebuilding a church after the Hurricane Katrina. I went to Iowa after the devastating floods in 2008. And who would have ever thought that we would need a charity like this in the South Shore? But we've been on the South Shore now doing mold remediation and rip out of several hundred homes. We're going to be here until it's done. With several more months, and I had 4 separate runs of supplies to the South Shore using my experience with this charity, whether it's shoes or food or water or school supplies or instruments for the kids. I even got 800 space heaters from Sears and gave them out all over the South Shore. So I'm a community guy first. My wife is also very active in the community. She's a trustee on the board of the Sid Jacobson JCC. She teaches anti-bullying throughout Long Island and New York City. And she's also works for North Shore Child and Family Guidance. So she's very involved with social work. I bring a community aspect to my business background. And I'm just a guy who likes to make where he lives a better place. I've got much more involvement in that, but I don't want to bore you with the details. I'm very into helping the community thrive and survive, especially during these tough times.
So let's take Roslyn School District for a ride. Right? You said that you came on the board and there were like $11.2 million was stolen, and without increasing taxes, obviously, that you made it work so there was no layoff. How did you do that?
That's a great question. There's a 2% tax cap in place, but even before the tax cap got into place, our average budgets were 5, 6, 7% before I got involved, and since then they've averaged a little bit over 1%. And the way I did that was using my business mind and experience to do things such as refinance our debt. If you pay 6% on your home and you know that there's 3% money out there, you're going to run and refinance your mortgage. Well, schools hadn't done that, and I explained to them you could do that with not only your debt that you use for capital projects, but also for energy performance contracts, and they saved about $2 million. I've also done some unique initiatives which are busing. For example, every school district has to send their children out of district to any private school they want to by New York state law within 15 miles and pay for their busing. Well, everybody has farms they're busing out, we have our own buses. So as we go through different school districts on the way to drop our kids off, I created an initiative to pick up some kids along the way, and we split the cost. So instead of spending $20,000 for another school district to drive their kid there, we pick them up, we make $10,000, and they save $10,000. So the money stays in the system. I've also created a credit card through a foundation that I helped create in Roslyn schools, where the cash back goes to the foundation to help the school system. It's got a picture of the Roslyn Bulldog on there, and I think every school district should do that. I've created about 13 or 14 different initiatives that I even took to Rochester at the New York State School Boards Association and presented throughout the state and to a standing room only crowd as a way that we need to work together to preserve the quality of education. That's why we move here. We moved to Long Island, especially Nassau County, because we have some of the best schools in the country. Right. And unless we save and preserve them by working together, by combining services, I don't want to combine school districts at all. I want to combine some of the back services that we can do together. One other interesting initiative we're working on, LIPA is coming out with a program to fund solar panels for investors. And they need rooftops. Well, Rosalind's speaking with them now to rent out their rooftops to an investor who will place solar panels for LIPA on all our rooftops, and we're going to generate about $250,000 a year. So I look at it from a business perspective. What assets do we have where we don't have to raise taxes? I don't want to fire teachers. What in our infrastructure can we do better, cheaper, faster, that can save our schools money? And I was able to bring that to $100 million, 600 employee budget. And we're thriving, and we are going to be one of the best run districts with the most money available. And this is not because we're in a wealthy community. Half Hollow Schools District in Long Island, huge problems. They just had a huge budget vote. They are concerned about firing teachers. Huntington, it's going to happen all over the place, and Roslyn's preparing proactively for the future, not living day by day like a lot of schools have to do now.
So community service is the backbone of your whole life, as I understand.
We're very involved in the community. I mean, I was on the East Hills Oversight Committee. We created this wonderful park, 50-acre park that helps our home values because it's like a country club that it's very reasonably priced. Again, Great Neck has a great park system. Right. If you can create great parks in the best and the worst neighborhoods, your pricing of your homes will go up because people want a place for recreation, especially if it's just for your community. And I was on that oversight committee board, and I helped with the park and laying out the park, and I love adding value to my community. That's one of the things I'm very good at.
So like you were involved in also a lot of different businesses like real estate, restaurants, and investment and all that. Tell us something about that. I mean, you know, obviously you made money.
Well, yeah, businessmen, they risk money. Sometimes you lose money too. But I started off as a kid knowing my mother was a teacher. Okay. You know, my brothers are teachers. I didn't grow up in a struggling middle class family. My dad was always trying to start a business, so I emulated him a bit, but wasn't quite successful until I was almost in college. So I know if I wanted something, I had to go out and get it. So I had a paper route at 12, but then I found ways to be entrepreneurial. Okay. There were Little League games at a field near me, and there was a huge field with 6 games going on Saturday and Sunday. So I would drive down to the Wise factory where they made potato chips and buy them for 10 cents a bag and sell them 3 for $1. And I would buy sodas in bulk and sell them 2 for $1. And I would make $100 on a Saturday when you're 16 years old, Sunday. And when it rained, through my dad's business, I was able to buy ponchos wholesale, and then I would go down to the Meadowlands and sell them in the parking lot, buy them for $1, sell them for $5. Wow. And I realized the harder you work, the more risk you take, the better off you'll be if you take calculated risks. I went down into finance. I did that for over 20 years. I created a lot of jobs doing that. I traded commodities, coffee, sugar, cocoa, things like that, and was quite successful at it. I branched off into being on the boards and an investor in several startup companies, and that's one of the things I want to bring to Nassau County is we don't have an incubator system. We don't have a mentality or a place where people can meet. It's just starting now and share ideas, innovate. We don't have that. We have our largest hedge fund in Nassau County is a $15 million fund to create new jobs. That's the smallest hedge fund. Yeah. I mean, it's so bad that in last quarter of 2012, there are 107 new companies created according to Long Island Business News. $734 million invested in New York metro area.
Right.
Not $1 in Nassau County. Not one single dollar. I think I could bring that here through my experience. And I also got involved in commercial real estate. I own property in Long Island. I'm also involved in developing property in other states in the United States. I represented a company in Oregon in New York for 4 years as a managing director. And I also do own restaurants. It's a wide variety of interests. I opened a restaurant locally called Lula. Created 35 jobs in Nassau County, good paying jobs. I own a restaurant in New York City called Aldea.
Okay.
25 jobs there, Michelin star, very fine restaurant. So I know how to create jobs. I know how to manage businesses effectively. I know how hard it is when payroll's due on Thursday and you don't have any money in the account on Monday. Where's the money going to come from? How are you going to be creative?
Right.
And that's the mentality that I bring to government. I've done it through community. I've done it through charity. I've done it in education, through the school board, which is most school districts are the size of town government. I mean, the town of Hempstead and Oyster Bay are the same size, just a little bit bigger than school districts. So they're very similar. And now I'm looking to take it on a much larger scale in Nassau County, because Nassau County is just on a slow, steady decline. We're losing manufacturing jobs, 40% of our jobs since 2000. Businesses are leaving or closing down. Taxes are crazy high. Services are getting slashed. I almost broke a tooth on a pothole on the way over here. You know, I mean, basic services like filling potholes just aren't happening. The middle class is getting crushed, and there's just too much cronyism and nepotism where, you know, if you work for the party, whether you're Republican or Democrat, then you get a job through your cousin, your uncle. You're not getting the best and the brightest in government, and that's why we have this horrible decline. We need somebody to come in, rip off the Band-Aid, and do things differently, because the way we're doing it, whether it was with Suozzi or Galata or Mangano, isn't working. We lost the Islanders. Tax certiorari, which is going to get your refunds on your homes, is costing the county $100 million a year. That has not been fixed. Companies are leaving. Police precincts are being combined. The storm relief, in my mind, wasn't set up properly. The Superstorm Sandy, no one knew where to go. It was chaotic. I mean, we haven't had a win in the longest time. And I think I have the experience and skill set with community and business to bring that win and victory and make this place what it should be.
So now, you know, the most important issue in Nassau County is taxes. Like, you know, I mean, every day, I mean, I see my tax bill every 6 months or 3 months or whatever. It's crazy.
Crazy.
You know, so how, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, there is no more room in Nassau County because you don't have too much room left to build new and generate more tax revenue.
You know, Raj, there's no room in New York City, but that place is exploding. That place is exploding because people want to invest there. They have high taxes, but it's a place that is so business friendly. It takes 2 years to get a permit to build something here. 2 years to get a shovel in the ground. So what investors and builders do is they go where they can deploy capital and they can make money. They're in the business of making money. But when you have somebody who builds, he also creates jobs, middle class jobs, good jobs, and then that guy goes to the pizza place and the dry cleaner and you stimulate the economy. Nassau County's budget will only increase and do well, and there will be revenue generation, and the taxes will go down if we create a stimulated economy. And we're not doing that here. You want to go build a project, you want to build a building, you've got to go to the building inspector. Then you got to go back for revision. Then you got to go to the fire inspector. Why aren't the fire inspector and the building inspector in the same building? You want to make it as easy as possible. Government should get the heck out of the way and let people invest, and that's just not happening. And that's one of the things I want to do. We just need to create an environment where you want to be here, we want you here to succeed.
So now you just said something which was music to my ears. You said taxes goes down.
Okay. Anybody who tells you they're going to lower your taxes isn't being honest. Nassau County has the highest taxes of all the counties in New York State, 57 counties. They have the highest debt by 200% of the next closest county. So they borrow every year, even though their taxes are as high as possible. And that's because 40% of our budget is coming from sales tax. The only way to change that, the only way to get that formula working is through efficiency. There's so many things you can do. Like I said, better, cheaper, faster. That's my business experience. I mean, why do we have don't we have direct deposit for payroll? We spend $250,000 a year issuing paychecks. Is this the 1980s? You know, or is this 2013? Why don't we do innovative things like rent out our rooftops for county buildings to life and generate millions of dollars? Why couldn't we build a Nassau Coliseum over 13 years and keep the Islanders? It's because there's ways you can do that through innovative financing that has nothing to do with borrowing money that the current people don't ever understand or haven't been involved in, or the people that advise them haven't. I mean, I've been in real estate. I know what it takes to put a shovel in the ground. When you stimulate the economy, a rising tide floats all boats. It's about creating jobs. It's about creating incubators that will stir up innovation and entrepreneurship around the train stations, so we can get kids in and out of the city. We can create an environment where my children, who can't afford to come back here, will want to work here. Now they're going to Brooklyn, they're going to Jersey City, they're going to New York City.
Right.
These are things that should be happening here. The transportation system is horrible. The roads are in horrific shape. There's no master plan. It's just going from one crisis to another instead of a proactive plan and saying how we're going to get there. And I think using the train stations, Hicksville, Freeport, Mineola, I mean, look at Huntington, how that place is thriving. Great Neck has got a great transportation system. They have jobs and businesses there. Why aren't those other hubs working? It's about creating affordable housing, okay, and that's not low-income housing, it's not, which we need also, or senior housing, which we need also. It's creating affordable housing so a kid out of college or a family who's just starting up doesn't pay these crazy rents like they do in other parts of New York City and the New York metro area. They pay the rents they can afford here, and then the jobs come, and then businesses thrive, and then a rising tide floats all boats. There's no planning. Trying to get something built in the town of Hempstead, forget about it. Forget about it. It's just not happening. And my point is to rip off the Band-Aid and make this place thrive.
We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Absolutely, thank you.
Please stay with us. Welcome back to Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. We're having a conversation with Adam Haber, who is running for a county executive in November. Welcome, sir.
I'm running for primary in September. You got to win the playoffs to get to the World Series. So then I've got the World Series in November.
There you go. First you have to run the primary.
You got it.
So what I'm asking you is, like, let's say, the property tax, right?
Yes.
Now, property tax bill, 80%, close to 80% is school tax. And county tax is about 18–19%, really. So really, the biggest burden on the taxes is school tax, right? Now, obviously, school tax, out of school tax budget, I mean, you were since on the board, you probably know all these numbers.
Yes.
I'm outside of the board, so I just know high level, that most of the money goes into pension and salaries. And there is no way around it because the New York State laws, obviously would not allow anything other than that. How do you propose to even reduce that burden?
Well, 2/3 of your tax bill goes to school taxes. About 12% goes to the county, and 18% goes to the towns. Long Island gets only about 15% of its education funded by the state of New York, where most people aren't aware of this, but we lose about $4 or $5 billion a year in state revenue that goes to the rest of the state. If you live in upstate New York, they get 50 to 75% of their funding from the state. So one of the reasons why our taxes are so high is because we're considered wealthy, even though there's a lot of areas in Nassau County and Suffolk County that aren't that wealthy. So we have to pay more out of our taxes for our education. So it's easy to say it's about teachers and their pensions, but the fact is the state treats us differently. If we had a level playing field compared to everybody else, it'd be another story. 80% of your budget in the school system is employees' salaries and benefits.
Exactly.
One of the things that we work very well with in Roslyn is I was able to help negotiate with my board a collective bargaining agreement that recognizes the pressures the school systems are under and keeps our education system from exploding in cost. I'm not so sure what a teacher should be paid according to the average person. The average salary for a teacher in Nassau County is probably about $95,000, and these are professionals with a master's who educate our children. And a salary for 4 people just to get by in Nassau County is about $83,000. You know, just to cover the basic necessities. So I understand the burdens on the taxpayer, but keep in mind the state is not paying us our fair share, and we have quality education here, and part of the reason is the salaries attract the better teachers, the better pool. We get over 100 resumes for every job that we have in opening. People want to be here. That being said, the one thing you have to mitigate going forward is having a plan how these taxes don't continue to spiral out of control.
Right.
I think we've got it under control in Roslyn. But again, I come back to job creation and stimulating the economy, and as we get more tax revenue from sales tax and other areas, that will mitigate some of the issues you have with teachers. The biggest issue we have in not only education, in the state and in the country, are healthcare costs. Okay, healthcare costs go up between 10 and 15% a year every year. You can't have a 2% tax cap and expect to have healthcare costs go up. There's got to be some give and take. And I think the way we deliver healthcare right now, and I think everybody deserves healthcare. I'm a Democrat. That's part of our belief. Isn't working right now. And I have a plan that I plan on introducing. It's called Consumer-Driven Health Plan, where instead of going out and just giving somebody a card and not shopping for the price of healthcare, where you do that nowhere else in the real world, you get money like a health savings account, and now it's up to you to go out and find how much it costs to buy health care. You can go get a colonoscopy, and in Nassau County it costs between $800 and $4,000. Price does not mean it's better. So now that you're a consumer, through this plan, you're going to spend this money more cost effectively, and this plan also makes sure that wellness is part of it, so you'll take better care of yourself. Because if you have this money in your plan left over and it rolls over from year to year, so the teachers put that 20% of their plan into this consumer-driven plan, that's $4,000 a year. Most people don't spend $4,000 a year in healthcare. It rolls over year to year to year, and if you're healthy at retirement, you have a lump sum of money. That's your money. So you're incentivized to live a healthy life and shop for healthcare. And the biggest part of my health plan would be to take out the 25% that goes to the healthcare providers. We self-insure. A lot of companies are doing this now, and they do this in other states. They don't do that in Nassau County. If you self-insure, the price of healthcare through a consumer-driven health plan is 20 to 30% less.
Okay.
In Nassau County, that would mean about a $50 million savings in healthcare. In the school districts, it would be $7 million per district. There's ways to use your structure you have effectively and efficiently, still provide great services, and people who have this plan won't go back. They love it. They love the fact that they're incentivized to be healthy. You also get a free gym with this. It doesn't cost a lot to join a gym.
Right.
You go to a gym, you eat healthy, you keep your weight down, you don't have diabetes, you don't get heart attacks, it costs less to pay, you self-insure, there's money. You can do things differently yet still provide the services people divide. So that's one of many different ideas I have. But right there, if you do that, it's $50 million. And I studied Indiana is the child of necessity that did this, and I spoke to their director of benefits, and she walked me through it, and it works. It works. So that's one of the ways I'm going to help keep the costs down.
So do you agree with Mayor Bloomberg's idea of having a ban on large drinks?
I believe
because it's healthy.
He can make a strong suggestion about that, but once you start telling people what they should drink and not drink, you push the line of where government gets too involved in people's lives.
Okay.
Personally, I don't think I need a 64-ounce container of soda, especially in a long drive because you have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. But I don't agree with that. However, the message I agree with, that we need to start taking better care of ourselves, and that's the start of the discussion.
Right. Now, pension reform, as we said, that pension is the biggest cost. Do you, like Governor Cuomo has initiated it a little bit and then hasn't gone much yet. So do you still feel that should be done?
Yeah. I think if you work hard, you should get a pension. However, I believe that we can't pay for what we can't afford.
Right.
People who have pensions now and have that contractual obligation, I believe in a contract, and I believe that we are obligated to those people for what they have, and it shouldn't change. I think as we plan long term, the new tiers come on, there should be thoughtful ways actuarially on how to make it work and have these people get some of their needs met in retirement. We can't continue on the path we're on.
Exactly.
Especially, this is an interesting point,
Right.
most states in the United States predict 7.5% to 8% annualized returns on their portfolios to pay these pensions. I don't know, are you getting 7.5% on your investments?
No way.
You let me know where I can sign
not,
up for
not
that.
in the bank.
I mean, you're getting under 1%.
Exactly.
So that might look good, you know, on your actuarial tables, but it's not reality. And I think the pension thing is a time bomb that it keeps getting kicked down the road, and we're not addressing it. Now, on a county level, I don't have the authority to make those changes. It's a state mandate on how you pay your workers, but it is a long-term problem, especially in Nassau, just like tax certiorari is in the way we do our tax system here. That we'll have a plan to fix that by the time I have the election in September. That we need to address. We just can't keep pushing it down the road.
Well, you know, the pension, you know, like for example, pension reform, right? 7-8% which you talked about is kind of unrealistic, and you know, you were in a private business,
yes,
right? You were in private business all your life,
yes,
and you know,
yes.
I'm in a private business,
yes.
and we don't get any pension at all.
No.
We have no guarantees. Once we retire, whatever we have, and that's it.
If you don't save with your 401k, that's it.
And the whole plan was created in after the Depression, was because to attract more people for the government work.
Yep.
But now there is no problem that. So, you know, do you still think that we should continue with this? I mean, I know you said you want to do a reform.
Well, reform can come in different ways.
Right.
Do you take the last 3 years of a person's salary and use that for their pension, or an average of their salary over their whole lives? I don't know what the answer is.
Okay.
I do believe on the county level that you need to do things differently because it's not working. Jobs are leaving here, taxes are high, people can't afford to stay, the middle class is getting crushed, the infrastructure is crumbling, the cronyism doesn't, you know, lead to change. You know, vote for me and, you know, we'll keep things the same. People want to hear that.
Right.
Look at Detroit. Okay, classic example.
Yep.
Once the fourth largest city in the United States, had great manufacturing, car companies, Ford, Chrysler, GM. They are about to declare bankruptcy. I know the mayor personally.
Yes. Yes.
They are in horrific shape. They have a shrinking tax base, which we do. I'm not saying we're Detroit, but our debt is on the way to junk bond status. We are not growing because we don't have any more room to grow unless we grow up, and we're in trouble. There's no long-term vision, and that's one of the things I will bring to Nassau County is a plan on how we're going to run transparent, open, creative, innovative, create jobs, and alleviate a lot of the pressures we have. And they're really, one of the things I think that local leaders have failed to do is be an advocate for Nassau County. You know, they need somebody who fights for our groundwater, which is being polluted by Superfund sites. That's not even a discussion, but you know, it's going to be undrinkable in 20 or 30 years. We need someone to fight and do what is not politically popular, but the right thing to help our community, because we're suffering. I've been all over Nassau County. People are hurting, and it's not being addressed.
So now, you know, you have two wars, right? First is in September, which you're going to have a battle with 8-year County Executive Suozzi. He's former County Executive Suozzi.
For a reason.
And he's running again, obviously, and he has the backing of Democratic Party, and you know,
he's the insider. It's part of the cronyism. Yeah, you know, I'm running because I love where I live. I want my kids to be able to live here. I want this place to grow. I have a unique skill set with community and business that can actually do things. He had 8 years. Anything he says, you know, he had a chance. It took 6 years to win World War I and World War II, but we can't get anything done in Nassau County in 8 years. He's got this rebirth all of a sudden. Tom Suozzi wants to be president and governor. That he had a Fix Albany campaign. Well, he didn't fix Nassau County. It's going to be a very hard-fought campaign, just like Hillary and Obama was. And at the end, whoever comes out will be the winner, and the county will be stronger for it. But I'm doing this for the right reasons. I don't want to become president or governor or congressman. I want to be Nassau County Executive. I want to be from Mineola to my house in 7 minutes if I hit all the lights. Really 10 minutes because there's a lot of lights. And I want to help. You know, Tom's not a bad guy, but he had a shot. He had a shot. He borrowed every year. He didn't fix tax certiorari. The Islanders left. When he was mayor of Glen Cove,
right.
He had a ferry system, which I actually was going to invest in the ferry system in 2000. Still no ferry 13 years later. There hasn't been anything, there hasn't been any jobs created here. There hasn't been any big construction projects. He had 8 years. Mangano's just finishing the job that Suozzi started, and we're not doing anything to help the average middle-class person who wants to get by and live and love this place. I think I have a better recipe.
What is the biggest challenge that you think in September?
The biggest challenge for me in September, that's a good question. The biggest challenge for me is just getting my Grassroots campaign out, which I'm working on very hard right now, to the people who are dissatisfied. And there's 1.4 million people in Nassau County, a little bit less than that.
Right.
I've spent the last 2 years having meetings like this, breakfast, lunch, and dinner with hundreds and hundreds of political leaders, religious leaders, civic leaders. I go to civic meetings. I try to go to 2 a night, every night. I'm out 7 days a week knocking on doors. Just the Grassroots message getting out to the people. That's the biggest challenge. But we started long enough where I believe that won't be an issue. And come September, my name will be equally as well known as Tom Suozzi's throughout all of Nassau County. And I believe people will have a choice. For the first time in the history of Nassau County, they will have a choice in a Democratic primary to choose somebody. And what I found so interesting is the party leader didn't let the convention happen.
Right.
He chose who he was going to. He had to beg Tom to come out, which was kind of silly. But I announced early. Can you imagine on the federal level if the leader of the Democratic Party chose either Obama or Hillary, and how people would scream, how could you do that? That's not democracy.
Right.
Well, how's that democracy now if they don't wait till May? You know, it makes me even more energized to change things, because it's just business as usual if Tom's elected.
And then next time, you know, let's say if you are successful, or you will be successful in September,
right?
Then you have another, you know, in November, right after that.
It will be up to me to make the point that our debt is extremely high. Our taxes, even though Mangano, I should call him Pinocchio, says, I haven't raised taxes, but every time you bond, every time you raise fees, every time businesses leave, every time you do something like that, you're raising taxes on our future. Every time you cut employees for services, it's a tax on our time. You know, go try and conduct business in Nassau County. Instead of taking 10 minutes, you wait online for hours. That's productivity right there. Taxes on your time, taxes on fees, taxes on your future. He's raised taxes a lot. So much for sound bites that aren't true, but I don't think I'll have a hard time getting the message out that there hasn't been anything created here, and I'm an innovator, an entrepreneur. I want to create incubators, and I know how to speak the language of drawing businesses here. I've been to Hong Kong and manufactured. We can't afford to do that here because our costs are too high. Now that's changing again. Now the costs are, we have a place in Nassau County that used to be a thriving manufacturing culture. China's more expensive. We can start bringing things back here.
Right.
I think we are in the right place at the right time for a guy like myself who just wants to help. He's not a politician. He's a businessman who wants to add value, and a community man first, who wants his kids to live here, who wants to help the middle class, and just loves it here, and just could see a brighter future.
I really like your energy, by the way.
I'm holding down here a little bit because I could really get excited about it. I love, this is my home. I want to die here. I want my kids to come here, and I want them to have their families. And I want them to have long lives here and then grow roots and have generations to come. It's going to be very hard to do that unless things change. And we can't keep on the path right now. It's just not working. It's just, you know, it's just not working. Drive down any Hempstead Turnpike, Sunrise Highway. Drive north and south, and the roads are in disrepair, and the schools are starting to have problems because of funding. And there's real issues here that are hurting the average person who wants to be here. People are leaving. It's a graying structure. We don't have younger people coming in. The older people are paying taxes, and it's just, the younger people aren't there to regenerate and help alleviate that burden by stimulating the economy. It's just not working. You can't say it any other way. It's just not working. It's time for a change.
Viewers of our show is all from South Asia. So what do you think about the community, South Asian community? What is your views on us?
Us meaning, I'm a Democrat. You and I are we. It's interesting that you say us. I think that's the mentality now in Nassau County, that it's segregated. I think I was at the Indian Association function a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Some of the best and brightest people I've ever met.
Okay.
I don't know how to answer that, other than the one thing that the government's doing that's kind of failing, not only the Southeast Asian community but the Haitian community, is there's no language access program in Nassau County. Everybody doesn't speak English, especially you came here as a young boy.
Right.
My grandparents were immigrants.
I'm still young, by the way.
My grandparents were immigrants from Poland.
Right.
They didn't speak the language when they got
Right.
here. There needs to be a language access program in Nassau County, which will be funded not through county money, but by volunteers. So you call up and you don't know how to get services you just got here in French, in Hindi, in Spanish, and the community needs to be served better by its county. And you know what? It becomes a thriving community. But I will tell you something else. I spoke to the superintendent of schools in Freeport. Who's a very, very bright man, Dr. Kuncham. And he brought up a very good point, that there's no cricket field in Nassau County. I'm a big sports guy.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a sports fanatic. I could watch junior high school girls lacrosse and enjoy it. I mean, and without my kids playing, I love sports. Why don't we have something for the community? And that's just not the Southeast Asian community. It's for anybody else who might use that. But so the long answer to you is I think we are the same. We want the same for our kids, which is good education, a good place to live, good services, taxes that don't go up. We want the middle class to thrive. So we is how I view Indians, Pakistanis, Haitians, Italians. The whole community is one. Where it's not us, it's we, and that's how we're gonna thrive.
So you like cricket field, though?
I don't understand the rules, and it troubles me. It troubles me, and I don't know how they catch the ball without breaking their hands. But I do. I'm a big food guy. I own 2 restaurants. I own a Portuguese restaurant and an Italian restaurant. But I love Indian food.
Well, that's what my question was, that when are you going to open an Indian restaurant?
You know what? You got to find me a partner who knows how to run a restaurant, and we'll do it. I mean, I was very sad when D1 closed in Port Washington.
No, they're open again.
But it closed for a while.
It closed for a while, right?
I do love Indian food, and I love going to Hicksville. They have like a restaurant row there. And one thing that they don't do, the county doesn't do, with tourism, is it should be, come to Hicksville and taste India. Right. And the businesses that are there, the supermarkets. I mean, I see it's a thriving community, 25 or 30,000 people.
Yep.
People want to come and see and taste and sample. We're not promoting that well enough, and I think that's something that I'm very good with PR, especially the restaurants and especially with the startups that I'm involved in. We don't do that. We don't sell Nassau County, especially the hidden jewel of India we have in Hicksville.
What is your favorite Indian food? Anything that comes out of
all the breads, even though
naan.
Yeah, but there's the naan with the onions in it and the yogurt sauce you dip in. I mean,
yummy.
Yeah, I could eat a lot of naan.
There you go. There you go.
But that should be my campaign saying, he can eat a lot of naan. That should be when I go into the Indian community.
Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today. We want to wish you lots of luck in September and November. So I'm sure that I'm hoping that you would come back again in the show in around August time frame before the primary.
Beautiful.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, you can email me at rajamitv@gmail.com. Again, that's rajamitv@gmail.com. If you would like to watch our prior air show, you can go on youtube.com/Infosys International. Until next time, have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.